I go in between professional, and then I can like turn it off and get a little slangy. Okay, is that okay? I call it keeping it real. Okay, so ideally, my mind is saying be professional, but my heart is like break it down. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do today. Break it down. So let's go ahead and get started. It is your bottom line. When most companies think about revenue, it doesn't matter what type of company you have, and I primarily work with individuals or companies who are interacting with customers in a customer facing service like role. So doctors, attorneys, retail outlets, fast food restaurants, hotels, Walgreens, those types of corporate, so retail type outlets, or where, like I said, you're dealing with customers. So I am kind of obsessed with customer service. I've always been like a customer service person, probably for like the past 20 plus years. Probably even dating back further than that. Like even in high school, if I went places, I was always looking for like great customer service. Like it just hits my radar as such. I'm a big marketing and social media whiz. I started my business after leaving corporate. Started my business online, actually on Periscope. For the first year, I never had a client from Mobile. My clients came from all over, I guess I could say, the world, but they were not from Mobile because I was on social media. Really wasn't even marketing to Mobile. It was just social media in 2016 on Periscope before there was a Facebook Live. It almost seems like there was no such thing, that there was something before Facebook Live, but it was Periscope. I'm really big into employee engagement and leadership. I worked a corporate job, and I know it said that we would be touching on diversity. Everything that I say and talk about today is going to have some diversity mixed in, just because it's just like who I am. It's, like what I do. But real quick story, when I started my corporate job, I looked around and I was the only black woman there. There weren't even any other black guys. I worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car at the time. And they said, well, it's no big deal, but you want to go somewhere where people kind of look like you, whether it's male or female or someone who is, chocolate brown. Like you just want to see somebody, like if there's this connection, just because you feel like, hey, okay, there's a woman that's cool, but is there like a black woman, someone that might understand me, kind of what I'm going through? And it did not exist. I had great coworkers, like the best coworkers, if you will. They were amazing. But I was just like, don't nobody look like me. And it was kind of weird, just a teeny bit. What saved me from it being all the way weird was throughout junior high, high school, and college, I always found myself with a mixed crew of people. And I like it like that. I'm not this person that's just like, I'm looking for it, but I like getting to know other people, their culture, their way of life. And I'm thankful that I had the best parents in the world. My mom was a school teacher in a little town called Pasco-Share, Mississippi. It's near Bay St. Louis, Waveland. And my dad was one of the first black firemen for the city of Gulfport. So I kind of grew up in a diverse household. Like I never heard my parents say anything bad about anybody black or white. It just wasn't a conversation in our home. And I grew up in Gulfport, Mississippi. It just wasn't a conversation. So diversity is kind of like what I've known. And so when I go somewhere and I don't see it, I'm kind of like, what's happening? And that's how I was when I got to Enterprise. I was like, y'all ain't hiring nobody else that look like me. And I'm not just saying hire people just because they're brown, but I was just like, there's 7 offices. And guess what? We're going to talk about this. Customers like to do business with people that anybody know? That they know, that they like, and that they trust. Well, take me out. If it's, Keisha, and Keisha comes in to whatever establishment you have, and she looks around and she doesn't see anybody that looks like her, she may feel some kind of way, depending on how she was raised or how she grew up. So diversity is like a really big deal, and that's kind of how I got to be a fan of it. I talk to people wherever I am. In fact, I was in Ocean Springs, Mississippi recently. I took my mom there to get some shoes, and there was like a little square on the door that said, all races are welcome. And I was like, now wait a minute, we gotta go back like that. Like, what does that mean? I was just like, okay, that's probably like too much, but usually if you don't address something at the whisper stage, then it tends to get louder. And I just felt like that was someone saying, come on in, you're welcome. And I was like, okay, let's just walk away from it. So that's how I got kind of caught up in this whole notion of diversity. I went to South Alabama. I think I already told you guys I was an area manager for Enterprise. I did corporate sales with Enterprise, so outside, door to door, just knocking. And then I started my own company, and like I said, I'm all about customer service and solutions. I'm an author. I actually have written a book. I'm a content creator. I'm a speaker, trainer, business consultant, and I run an online community called the Be Fearless Society. It's for women who are looking to start their business. They usually work a 9 to 5, but they're like, what next? And I don't even mean so much as a what next as you need to think about it from a very different perspective. When I worked my corporate job and made 6-figure income, I always had something on the side. And you may say, wow, you made plenty of money. I did, but there's something unique about having your own. And not that you're about to leave your job, but it was just like, hey, if I can build money for this company Monday through Friday, then can I build something for myself over here on the side? And so that's what I did. And that would invigorate me over the weekend. So now when I'm going back to my 9 to 5, I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling even more empowered because I can build money for you and I can build money for me too. So it's like, I got the juice. Anybody in here feel like they ever had a juice? Mm-hmm. No? Yes? Okay, y'all gonna have to talk to me. Yeah. Okay, I'll take the smiles. All right, so this is my book. I know it's kind of graphic, but that's literally how I feel. If you have crappy customer service, you're cutting into your money. And like, just by looking at that, can you guys think of a company that you've been to or business recently that you've been to and their customer service was bad? Anybody?
McDonald's.
Yes. Okay. Hello. Thank you. So McDonald's. Anybody else? Mediacom. Okay. So, and what do you normally say when you get bad service? I ain't going back. They're not getting any more of my money. That's what you say. Mm-hmm. So if we know that that's what happens when you give bad customer service, why are companies still delivering bad customer service? Mm-hmm. Why do y'all think? Don't know or don't care. It's kind of wondering.
Nobody's holding them accountable.
Holding the employees accountable.
The employees accountable.
Yeah, you're right. True. That's like 100% true. So we're gonna move on. If anyone is interested in the book, you feel free. That's where it is. That's where you go and buy it. I'm going to slide. Okay. So you may be saying, who is this chick? Who has she worked with? Well, these are some of the places that I've done trainings for. Some of them are actual clients, and some of them are through association. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much for hosting me this evening. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk before I present. I have some questions. I want us to talk about it. I don't have a microphone, but if I show up in front of your face like this is the actual microphone. So we already know McDonald's and Mediacom, they suck, okay? Nobody's recording, right?
Okay.
Maybe. Okay, that's okay. I mean, other people said that they suck. Okay, so who are the customer service leaders?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A? Go ahead and say it again, Chick-fil-A. Anybody else agree with Chick-fil-A?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else? Y'all think they? Food Sacklers, you're right, yes. Okay, anybody else? Amazon, yes. Anybody else? I like those. So what is it about Chick-fil-A? Real talk, because I will save my commentary for just a moment, but what is it about Chick-fil-A?
Their responses, like if you say thank you very much, their response back to you is always very genuine.
Yes.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
My pleasure, yes.
They're efficient.
Efficient, yes.
They're consistent.
Yes.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Very consistent.
Prompt, courteous service.
Yes, exactly. Now, did y'all just notice no one said anything about the nuggets, the lemonade, the
Well, you gotta get
honey
past-
roasted barbecue
She
sauce?
was you gotta get past the customer service before you get to the food. Now,
Mhm.
that's me.
Now that's true. That's
If
true.
the customer service is all like that, I mean, you know.
Right. We just gonna like kind of skip it and miss it.
And I
Okay.
have asked for my money back.
Okay, I like that because I will do the exact same thing. Okay, so anybody ever been to Roots Chris Steakhouse? Good service, good food. So I think like people go for the steak, and their service is great. We go for the steaks. I think now we have a group of people who are going to Chick-fil-A because they're like, man, their service just so good. Because it doesn't matter what room I'm in. It doesn't matter what account I'm working with. They always say this, can you get us to be like Chick-fil-A? And I kind of chuckle at that. Because if you think about it, 15 years ago, they weren't as strong as they are right now. For that matter, Amazon really wasn't hot and heavy on the scene. And so right now, we're saying that a chicken sandwich place is pretty much leading America in customer service. And I celebrate Chick-fil-A. I think they are awesome. But I also wonder, and if I could just ask you to kind of go here with me, is their service so great, or does everybody else really kind of suck right now? Because we already know McDonald's. And I can remember a time where it was an honor as a teenager to work at McDonald's. Back when I was coming through, we ain't gonna talk about when that was, but if you could get a job at McDonald's, you had it going on. Like your friends were jealous because you worked at McDonald's. My McDonald's experience was a little different than my friends. They were out front. I applied a little late, so I wound up doing breakfast shift. When I was 16, had to be at work early morning because you know what? They were, breakfast shift, you got to be there real early. So that's not the ideal place to be as a 16-year-old getting up real early in the morning, but I wanted to work at McDonald's. And now we're seeing a shift. Everybody can't get hired at Chick-fil-A, much like back in the day, you couldn't get hired. It was like the golden ticket. Chick-fil-A doesn't hire everybody. And if you think about our businesses and our operations, or your business and your operation, you got to be careful about who you hire. Okay? All right, so Chick-fil-A is the leader. What do you think is the relationship between customer service and profits? Anybody?
100%. 100%.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about that. Why do you think people are willing to spend with Chick-fil-A so easily, or Amazon so easily?
Because there's customer satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
They give you what you order
Mm-hmm.
in a timely manner,
Mhm.
in efficient, courtesy way.
Okay, so would you say then, and maybe you guys will agree, that we know Chick-fil-A, we like Chick-fil-A, and we trust Chick-fil-A, right? Know, like, and trust. Think about that for your businesses. Do people know you? Do they like you? And do they trust? Because the correlation between the profit and the service is, don't ask me for any money because I don't know you. We see a lot of businesses popping up, or it doesn't matter what it is, until people get to know who you are, they are not so willing to spend because they don't know who you are, what you represent, what you stand for. So you've got to keep that in mind. The whole know, like, and trust, even in business, is a real thing. That is why I believe, in some regards, people still go to McDonald's. Because they remember what it used to be. And so they got conditioned to going over and over again. And so it's like, okay, hey, I'll just go to McDonald's. I've been going. I know their service sucks, but I'll keep going. Now, for just a moment, though, anybody in here got any connections to anybody at McDonald's, like the Barnes family or any? Okay, if you do, put me in touch with them. What I'm saying is, when I go to McDonald's, and I try not to go as often as I used to, because the service is just like this. You roll up, you order your food, it sounds like someone's grunting at you as you order. You get up to the window and it's this. They don't even look at you. It's like, Here, take it and go, peasant. That's what you get. Could you imagine, though, if you rolled up at McDonald's and it was like, hi, welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order today? Who would pass out in the
I think
drive-thru?
something wrong.
Everybody would be shocked, right? And could you imagine if you got up there and like your food was ready and they didn't say, ma'am, can you pull up? Like your food was ready and they're like, here are your drinks. Do you need napkins? Because you don't get napkins. And did you need any ketchup? You get ketchup. And then you get a hot cheeseburger and hot fries in a bag. Like you would drive off thinking, I better go play the lottery because today it must be my lucky day. So they're leaving money on the table because if it's good like that, you may just say, hey, that was pretty good yesterday. I'm going to go back to McDonald's tomorrow. And then you're going to get on the phone and call a friend and be like, girl, I was just at the McDonald's on Government Street. The service was on point today. And so now your friend is going. And so now guess what happens? McDonald's has generated more. They're generating revenue now. But are they leaving money on the table? You've got to think about your business the exact same way. At the law firm, when someone calls in, are we friendly and bubbly? I believe that we probably are. But what if we weren't? And someone's like, ugh, they're mean. Click. Call the doctor's office. Hey, need to make an appointment. What kind of appointment? To see the doctor. They're mean. Click. They don't know you. They don't trust you. You're messing up your money. So customer service and how we communicate with people and connect with them can really have our profits upside down. Okay? So when's the last time you've been to customer service training for your company? Today does not count. Okay. Right. So this is what I have figured out in my research over the past 3+ years. Most companies don't do customer service training because I talk to, when I go to retail stores, I'm like, hey, who does your training? They're like, well, kind of do. Well, how often? It's been a minute. Wow, what's up? And I start talking to them. I'm like, hey, when people come in and they start working for your company, how do you know how they're going to treat your customers? And they're like, well, we don't. We tell them in the interview, you got to have good customer service. And guess what? People who are sitting in an interview trying to get a job, they're like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Whatever you say do, I'll do it really good for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, I don't know. People treat customers the way that they've been treated. And if you look around at our landscape now as it relates to service, I don't know if we have any good models. And so if you're just bringing people on to your company and putting them out front on the front line to interact with customers who are going to bring you money and that service is not on point, you are leaving money on the table potentially by not being willing to invest in training to ensure that people are doing what you want them to do. Just simple, basic training. I'm saying, depending on the size of your organization and depending on your service, you may need to do it quarterly. You may need to do it monthly. If you're sales and customer service, you may need to have trainings that happen a lot more frequently. But I would say no less than once a quarter if service is important to you. And the reason why it should be so important is if you nail it, like Chick-fil-A, you get to be like the #1 whatever in America as it relates to service. We know they're raking in the dough. So you may be saying, well, I'm making good money now at my business. Our company does well. But are you leaving money on the table by not making sure that your employees are properly trained to attract more people to your business? Okay, y'all looking at me like, whoo, she getting serious. Now she preaching. Okay, how do you guys measure employee engagement? So does anybody know what I'm talking about when I say employee engagement? I'll just put it out there. So I had this magic power when I would walk into one of my stores, I could instantly get a read on the room. You're like, how do you know that? I could just tell. Because if you're normally like, hey, upbeat, and I come in and you're like, hey, I'm like, girl, what is going on? You're like, I'm all right. I'm like, all right. You're normally like, woo! In the day, you're just all right. So I know something's going on. Now I come in and you're like, hey. I'm like, y'all all right today? What's happening over here? Ugh. And so now I got a temperature on the room. I know that something's going on. And usually what's happening is it's with management. Now, managers and owners in the room, don't freak out. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you know, and your hands are full with other stuff. And so dealing with someone's employee engagement may not be super important at the moment. But what I want you to think about is, if you don't deal with their issues at that moment or sometime in the near future, like before the day ends, you gotta wonder how that person is now treating the people who are calling in or walking in to give you money. Happy, what they say, happy wife, happy life. Happy employees make happy customers. I mean, it's just no way about it. When I worked at Enterprise, I loved that they had a mission statement that was really built around taking care of customers. And honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, they got this wrong. And my manager's like, what you mean? I was like, this is wrong. I was like, people aren't going to take care of the customers if you're not taking care of the employees. I mean, they'll do their job because that's what you pay them to do, but they're not going to go above and beyond and not really do anything extra. If you take good care of me, oh my gosh, I am going to I will run through a brick wall for my supervisor. And he knew it, but he took great care of me. And great care of me was simple stuff like, so you got your family reunion this weekend. Where is it going to be? We would talk about it. He was like, I wouldn't know my second cousin if they walked into this room. He's like, I just admire the fact that your family's close. So we got this connection. We can talk about things. And I know some people like, I don't want to do all of that now because people get really weird about HR stuff. And I get it. But if you want your employees to be happy and to connect with your customers and bring in a buttload of cash because you guys have the most amazing service for a doctor's office, a pharmacy, a law firm, a school, whatever it is, then I would encourage you to make that investment in your employees because it's going to pay you back so many times over. People who are engaged, they are not really quitting. Okay? This is for, do we have any managers or owners in the room? Okay. You've heard people say, they got a lot of yes people around them. People who just say yes, yes, yes to them. They're afraid to say, that's not a good idea. Y'all heard that before? You got a lot of yes, yes, they say yes. She's a yes man. They just say yes. Like, I'm thinking about Michael Jackson. Because people kept saying no one would say no to him. They just said yes to whatever he wanted. When you're in business, you don't want just yes people around. If you have yes people around you exclusively, it's like walking through your business with blinders on. You need someone who is outside of the company, that would be me, to come in, to sit with you, to find out what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish in the long term with your business as it relates to profit and customer service. And then I walk you through a process. And I'm not afraid to say no, because you can't fire me. You already hired me and paid me and gave me my money. I'm going to be there to do the work and like really go through the process with you to see how we can stack some more cash and make sure that employees really feel good. But if it's just you only want yes people around you as a business owner, you're setting yourself up. And I encourage you to get people who are outside of your industry. Because in your industry, and this happens, in the industry, I was like, can I pick on you for a second? I remember there's a person in this room, we were talking, and she was saying, in our industry, we can't do this and we can't do that. And I'm like, well, I'm not in your industry. I'm thinking about it from a marketing standpoint. So I'm standing over here and I'm looking in and I'm saying, you could be doing this. And this would benefit your customer. And this would get you a different lead. And it's like, I never thought about it like that. When we're in the industry, we get conditioned to go with what the industry says the standards are. When you hire an outsider, they don't know that. They don't care. Their mindset is, hey, I'm trying to figure out how I can get more customers and more cash. And then I can wipe the excuses away because I'm not connected to them. You've heard them probably for the last 10 or 15 years. So just keep that in mind. We need yes and no people around us. All right, so who can talk about the diversity culture at their company? Well, drop the pen. Okay, let me say this. So when people start to talk about diversity, they usually get quiet. Usually gets a little tight in the room, and I'm saying off with that. No need. The companies who are willing to talk about it or at least engage in some sort of conversation, maybe not tonight,
You know what?
it's gonna help. Yes.
I know you said we're not talking about it, but actually, Walgreens just came up with this mandatory, and I don't know, I think a lot of companies are doing this
Okay.
now, but, it's, 3 mandatory trainings, but it is for diversity, bias training or whatever, and each leader, pharmacy leader, in the company, has to attend. It's like a 4-hour training.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my DM said he went through it. He said it does get uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, but yeah. So we got something coming up. So I have to let you know how that goes.
This is what I would put out to the room, and then I'll keep it moving. I would say, just pass out papers, emails, something where people could just send something back in stating how they would like to see diversity made over, and whatever that is. It could be, diversity takes on so many different forms. I don't even want to get into them, but you owe your company and you owe it to your employees to just find out what their thoughts are. I do love the fact that at Enterprise, every 2 years we did employee surveys, so that kind of kept us fresh with engagement. And I know y'all like, I thought we were talking about customer service is the bottom line. You can't deliver customer service without employees. So if the employees are turned upside down, then the customer service is always going to be like McDonald's. Like, you're going to have the bad golden arches, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. It's important to make sure that people are like plugged in with your customer service. The other thing was, we literally had panels. I can remember, I think I told y'all, I was the only Black person in Mobile in 1995 who worked at Enterprise. And they had like 7 offices. I know, it was like kind of weird. But anyway, I also remember getting a call from our general manager who managed a 4-state area saying, hey, we're starting a diversity team and we want you to be a part of it. So I drove up to Birmingham. There are other people in there, and he's like, and he talked like this. His name is Bruce McKee, the most amazing man in the world. He goes, guys, this is going to get uncomfortable. He was like, but if we're going to have change, then we just have to talk about it. Like, whatever it is. And that's what happened. And over time, the landscape changed. Even at Enterprise, it changed. If women got pregnant at Enterprise, they would just quit. They're like, I can't have a baby and work here because the hours are too long. But I remember when I got ready to go out or got ready to come back, and they were wondering if I was coming back, my male area manager called and said, don't quit. Because I was thinking about it, because I hadn't seen anybody come back and do it successfully. People just quit. And he said, don't. He said, come back, let's find a way to make it work. I was like, okay, cool, I'll be the guinea pig. And so guess what? Other women saw me do it, and they were able to stay. We had diversity conversations, so it was no longer uncomfortable. It was really some of my white male counterparts saying, hey, can you talk? Yeah. Hey, this just happened. I don't know what the heck this is. They said this is, talk to me, like explain it to me, like to engage me. And that it started to happen. And so our region, the city of Mobile, it just shifted from just me to, you could go into any branch and you found a diverse mix of people, males, females, mothers. We started doing stuff for dads. It was inclusive. But that's not going to happen if you're not having conversations. Furthermore, if that's not your work environment, it's going to be hard to attract people to come and work at your company when diversity doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Just keep that in mind. Okay, let's get going. All right, so y'all came because you wanted to know more about the bottom line. So I don't want to hold you up. You can't leave, but we're just going to go ahead and kind of like put some of the juice out there. So how can you make more money with customer service in your business? Well, number one, instead of being so focused on like profits, because that's what most people do, sit down like, how are we going to bring some more money in? This is how you're going to bring some more money in. You're going to focus on your customers. Real talk. Now, when you work with me, I go through like each and every step, and I'm gonna go through some of the steps today. But that's number one. Number two, so can we agree that Chick-fil-A focuses on their customers? Okay, cool. Can we agree that Chick-fil-A has excellent communication and their operations are amazing? Okay, cool. If you got a problem, do they resolve it? Okay, y'all are smart. We're getting this. All right, so they listen, they empathize, they provide a solution. And then would you say that Chick-fil-A advertises, are they on social media and things like that? Can I tell you how many businesses really like aren't on social media in this day and age? They're like, I don't want to be on social media. Boo, you don't have to get on it, but understand it is happening around you and it will just continue to blow past you every single day. And your competition will be getting more and you're left behind. I have seen some attorneys in my social media space outside of Mobile do some of the craziest stuff and people jump on it. I saw a freaking rapping attorney. And I know. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. But you know what? I wasn't thinking that, but there is something in our city that could turn viral. There's something cool that happens at the firm that doesn't happen at other places. There's some conversations. Some of them are funny. I mean, I've really seen some people take some memes and really do some things. Remember the dentist who was dancing? I mean, he was cute too.
Yeah, he was cute.
He was real cute. You feel me? Okay. So, but we got to think about how we can use social media to do two things. One, we can grow. And if we're growing, that usually means we're bringing in more cash. But also, there's a way for us to actually serve our customers using social media in a way that other people don't. Because there's your competition's like, I'm not using it. I'm not going to do it. Okay, well, cool. If you adopt some level of social media, can we say that you're outpacing them? Because people are going to see you. People look for, when people need stuff, what do? They Google. They YouTube. The two largest search engines. Sometimes people aren't present on YouTube, so you don't show up. If you don't have a social media presence, I mean, if you have an address, you'll show up on Google, but we want content and information out about businesses, and so that's how we use social media. All right, so this is it. This is like, these are the 4 ways. I'm going to keep going, but I'm just saying, I didn't want anybody to say, well, she didn't tell us anything about how to get more money. This is it. These are the 4 ways right here. Okay, I need you to know this number. Anybody want to take a guess what this 75 billion stands for?
The amount of money social media can generate you in a year's time.
I like where you're going. About $1 million plus goes down in digital sales, though, on social media. I think I was mentioning, like, ooh, yeah, attorneys now will take some simple, basic, frequently asked questions, and they will build out a full course, and they'll sell that. Because maybe they can't afford to come in and do a consult, but I got this class, I can take this in. But anyway, I digress. I create digital products and services. This $75 billion is how much money is lost annually because of poor customer service experiences. That's a big number. It does say billion. So $75 billion up for grabs. I'm just saying, we have companies who don't invest. So if you're not investing, if you don't have a plan, then you're just like, well, I'm not worried about it. I got plenty. That's not my world. All right, so what is customer service? What is customer service?
The act of doing your job and doing it well for the person that you're servicing.
I like that, and you're basically right. You're doing your job. You're not gonna get fired by delivering customer service. Not gonna win any awards because you're doing your job. So, what is the customer experience? Because this is the basic approach. It's like if you show up at McDonald's and they really say, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's," and you pull around and you get some fries and they're warm, and you order a cheeseburger and it has cheese on it, and you pull off, you're like, "Okay, that's what I ordered. Nothing special, but they did their job." But that's not what we're going for.
The experience is the whole beginning to end,
The
like
process.
It's
Yes.
like for us at Walgreens, it will be wait time, checkout, friendliness, cleanliness. How does it look? It's the whole is when the person comes in or interacts with you from the beginning to the end.
Yes.
I would say.
Perception of the service from the beginning.
Yes. So I recently went to Zoe's. I love that place. The little guy, I didn't just want chicken roll-ups and I just didn't want steak. I wanted a mix. Well, it's not on the menu. I was like, hey, is there any way I could get this? And he was like, well, hey, let me see. So he's like, what side would you want? He's like, I'm just going to ring it in and see how it comes up so I can tell you how much extra it is because I really don't know. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool, appreciate it. So he did. And I was like, yep, let me do that. And then I was like, hey, I got like the little points or whatever. I was like, I got 3 things on here. So I scanned one. And I was thinking like, so I got the cookie for my daughter, but they had cake on there too. I was like, could I get the cake? This is happening in my head. And then he says, you know you can use more than one of those. I was like, my man, I appreciate you. Scan, get another one. Still got the hummus left. I think I got to use that soon. So anyway, I get my food. I go, I sit down. Get the sweet tea, which really wasn't sweet. I was like, bummer. So, you know, I'm kind of neat and tidy when I go places. I was like, hey, do y'all want me to pour this out? Because the tea is not quite that sweet. Here comes, like, the general manager. He was like, I got something for you. He's like, you like our limeade? I was like, it's pretty good. He's like, put that on top of your tea. He was like, and then if you don't like it, come and get me. I was connecting with them. They were connecting with me. I felt like I was having, like, a Zoe's experience. Mm-hmm. So as I was sitting there eating my food, I was like, this is really good service. I like to tell people when they give me great service. So I sent a note to Twitter saying, hey, people here in Mobile, I knew their names. I was like, they are great. They're amazing, phenomenal. Please recognize them, whatever you do. And then before I left, I said the same thing to the manager. And then I went to, I think the guy at the front, his name was Ryan. I was like, Ryan, I was like, man, I got to tell you. He's like, what's up? I was like, you were amazing today. I was like, keep doing what you were doing. He gave me the biggest high five. I thought my hand was going to fall off. I mean, it was like, bam. Yeah. But he was excited. And so people want to be told when they're doing really good things. But he created an experience. Hence, I'm telling you this story. They're going to get some more of my money. And that's how it works. Now, imagine if it had been bad. How many people would I have been on the phone with? The statistic is people tell about 15 people when they get bad service. So you think about that. If you manage or you own an operation and someone is upset when they leave the establishment, there's a good chance that they may notify up to 15 of their friends and family. And of course, those people grow legs and they run off and tell people too. And then we're not going to even get into how people write reviews on Google or Yelp or wherever they go now. So we really have to be more conscious about how we deliver customer service. So we want to make sure that we are creating an amazing experience. Okay, so you may say, well, how do I do all of this? Okay, maybe you're wondering how to focus on the customer. So I want to tell you that because that was like one of the number one things that I had. And we know Chick-fil-A does it oh so well. And guess what? You get a warm greeting. So make sure you're greeting people. Can we say good morning, everyone?
Good morning.
Oh, I felt that love. Okay, cool. So make sure that you understand the client's needs. Don't just assume, don't just gloss over, don't run through it because you're trying to get on to the next person, because this person who is standing in front of you or the person who's on the phone, they have the potential to spend a lot of money with you. Possibly. We don't even know. We don't want to run them off before the transaction ever gets started, okay? So listen and ask questions. This is one I really need everybody in the room to focus on. I'm thinking about restaurants, but it really happens everywhere. You are the expert. Don't be afraid to offer suggestions. So a lot of times people are like, well, I mean, I don't want to get in their business. I don't want to tell people what to do. Well, if I'm at the law firm, if I'm at the doctor's office, Walgreens, wherever your business is, and I ask you, when the customer asks you, they're identifying you as the expert. So they actually want you to get in their business if they ask. Yes.
Okay, on that subject, I just wanted to say, what if you compliment someone or basically, letting them know that they're doing a good job, but that person can't accept change and they continue to do the same things that they've been doing? How do you go about dealing with that?
You mean you told them they were doing a good job, but they weren't?
Exactly, because they basically been used to not hearing it or being acknowledged about certain things.
Sure.
So basically, when you tell them, it just like you really didn't say anything. They may say something, but then eventually it just back to the same ways.
Right. I'm one of these people, like, I think everybody has their own individual story. I think of it as being like an employee engagement issue. I think about it as almost like a church hurt or a marital or dating kind of hurt. You know, sometimes when you've been hurt before, when someone affirms you by saying good job, you just don't receive it. So that could be their issue, if I'm understanding what you're saying, that you paid them a compliment, but they were just like, they just didn't believe it and they continued to do bad.
Right.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Now it's like, well, hey, let's talk for a second. You know, I believe in really talking to people, maybe off to the side, to find out, hey, what's going on? Hey, I noticed I paid you a compliment, and it's not about the compliment, but do you believe that you're good? And, you know, you get to find out, like, you need to know where people are. And maybe they don't feel good, or maybe there is something going on, or maybe they don't believe that, you know, their work is really as good as you said. Because if you tell me I'm doing good, I'm going to be like, girl, yes. And then you kind of keep it going. So you just need to find out, like, maybe where they are. I mean, it's worth exploring. Everybody has a different story. I try to find the absolute best in every situation, but that doesn't mean everybody else is that way. So that means
Right.
I have to be patient and kind of walk through the process to see where they are. Hope that helps. I hope I answered that right. No.
I'm still stuck.
You still stuck with that person? Let's talk afterwards. I'm gonna be here. Or if they don't, I'll be here. We'll talk.
You can be here as long as you want to. I got the keys.
Hey, yeah, okay. Okay, so you guys are the expert. When I go out to eat, I'm always like, is this good? And they're like, oh no, I never had it. If I ever open a restaurant, you're gonna have to taste everything on the menu.
Mhm.
And I'm okay with you saying,
I don't like that.
exactly. So I said, no, girl, you don't want that. I'm like, appreciate it. Because, you know, sometimes you can get in trouble for being honest, but I'm appreciating it as a consumer because you're shooting me straight. Now, if it's something I really want, I might say, what you don't like about it? Don't have enough meat in it because I like meat. They're like,
Right.
no, the sauce is just kind of off. I'm like, okay, well then let's go on to the next thing. So just know your product and know that you are the expert, and know that if people are asking you, they already believe in you, they trust you. That's why they're asking you, okay? Make sure you use their name. I can't say that one enough. Like, I'm kind of bad with names. Like, it takes me a minute to catch on to someone's name. But the way that I make up for it is I know everything else about them that they've told me. So I could remember that you had on a green, you know, jacket and blue jeans, and you have 2 kids, and where they go to school, what kind of car they drive, and where your last vacation was, and that you have a cat. I would remember all that, but I might forget your name. But if you're someone who remembers names, like, use that, because people instantly feel a connection to you because they're using your name. Thank you for calling the law firm. Hey, Miss Jones, it's you? Yeah, hey, baby, you remember me? Yes. And then it's like, okay, it's family. It's that whole know, like, and trust thing, which, same thing, family. If you can treat people in your business like family, do that. That means employees. That means the customers. My friend calls it the Meemaw principle. It's like you would not treat your Meemaw bad. You wouldn't let anybody treat Meemaw bad. So why would you do that to a customer? Okay. Acknowledge their status. You may say, well, wait, we want to treat all people the same. We do. But if you have someone who spends $1 million a year at your business and someone who doesn't spend $1, we're going to greet everybody. Mm-hmm. But please understand, Mr. and Mrs. VIP,
Oh,
I appreciate you. I don't know this person yet. They ain't spending the money, so I'm being nice. I'm building an experience in for them. But this person is on the books already spending $1 million. What you need? That's how that works. What do you need? Because I got you. Okay? That's absolute. So acknowledge that. If someone's new, guess what that means? They may need more orientation. They may really need more hands-on to go through the process. I think y'all call that onboarding. But they may need more hands-on. So you got to keep that in mind. Someone comes to y'all store to get a prescription. They've never had it done there before. That customer doesn't know. So they need to be told. Okay, involve everyone in the touch points. This is a big one for me. So companies don't have customer service departments. They should, but they don't. I don't know what they have, but it's not a customer service department. Everybody in every department should be hands-on with the client. At Enterprise, I think we did like an amazing job at that. It didn't matter if they called me as the area manager. It didn't matter if they called our RVP. It didn't matter who they called. First of all, the call was going through. Now, I understand that some businesses, it's just not going to happen. But Enterprise made it a point to make sure that customers knew they mattered. And so if you called for anyone who had an extension and everybody at the company had an extension, there was no, may I tell them who's calling? We didn't do that. Didn't matter. You can call the general manager over a 4-state area who made probably close to $10 to $12 million a year. If you called, you were getting through. But guess what? They built a dynasty. It is a machine. And guess what else? They have this steady flow of repeat customers over and over and over again. Which, by the way, I know people, give me a new customer. You do. But what about the people who've already invested in you? The people who are already spending money with you? That cheaper to keeper doesn't just apply to a husband-wife type relationship. It works well in business too. Because they're already spending money with you. They already know you. They already like you. They already trust you. All you have to do is deliver on the customer service every time. And they're just going to keep coming back. Like, why would they go anywhere else? There's no one saying, forget Chick-fil-A, speeding through the drive-thru line. I hate them. No one says that. Right? So if you want to be like Chick-fil-A, you got to go all the way through the line. Same process for your business. Treat everyone with respect. I want to say that's common sense, but common sense is uncommon sometimes. So just make sure that you're treating everyone with respect. For me, as an area manager, it didn't matter if it was our car prep who didn't make the same money as the general manager. It just didn't matter. I'm like, I see a person. I'm like, what's up? That's just it. And did they show up for work? All the time. Now, in other areas, did they have problems with the car prep showing up? Yep. Why? There was no connection. It's kind of like, they just clean the cars. And it's like, okay, gonna have trouble. Just acknowledge people, period. And this is a big one. Search for alternative solutions. Don't be so quick to be like, nope, can't do it. Now, I understand in some industries, it is a firm no. But if that's not the case, find a way. Try to be accommodating if you can. Okay. Kind of hinted to this a few slides back, but loyal people, they spend more money and they save you money. And you're like, well, how do they save me money? Because it costs a lot more money to get a new customer. You gotta run a Facebook ad, an Instagram ad, a Snapchat ad, a LinkedIn ad, a mobile register ad, an ad on PMI, radio, to get a new customer. And guess what? The new customer was probably one of those 75 billion up for grabs because they got mad at their last provider because they didn't give them good service. So they come to you all broken. Now you got to try to put them back. You see where I'm going with this? If you will just treat your people right who are already spending money with you, then use those people to let them go out and spread the word. Like, because everybody here was like, Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is not running Facebook ads. They don't have to. Because they have us who's like, Chick-fil-A. So develop that culture in your business. Systems and communication. Fix the problem. Like, this kind of doesn't need any more. You can act like it doesn't exist, and it just kind of, it bubbles up. And that's just not where you want to be. Like, it doesn't make sense. If you know there is an issue, if you anticipate that there could be an issue with the customer, you already need to be thinking about, how can we fix it? Do I need to go ahead and talk to the manager to see what we can do? What should I say? Because sometimes we just don't know what to say. And so if we don't know what to say, it's like, here they come, run. And you can't do that. You got to address it. And if you can get on the front of it, then you're winning. Now, my friend says I can send her an invoice because if she has customer service issues that she doesn't want to deal with, she will call me and I give her the talk path on what to say, or I will make the call on her behalf. I just got good at doing that. If someone called into our corporate office in St. Louis, the call came to me and I had like 3 days to fix it and make it go away. So I became like a fixer. I did a short deployment with Pilot Allstate during hurricane season. I didn't leave, but I did condo claims. And, you know, they're high-end people, and they want what they want when they want it. And they're like, how do you calm these people down? And I was like, because I don't get upset on the phone with them. Now maybe when I get off the phone, it's like, but while I'm talking to them, I'm cool. And I get them calm, and in my head, I'm like, I got the cards to resolve this. Or we're gonna come up with an alternative solution. And that works. But fix it. Okay? Get active on social media. It's not going anywhere. Just saying. It's not going anywhere. LinkedIn is about to start. You can live stream soon. Like live video, not where you record it and post it, but their clients to get on LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat. You may say, Snapchat? I'm just saying. Who are your clients? If your clients are teens, they're on Snapchat. I'm not a teen. I'm on Snapchat. So if I see your ad or see one of your snaps, it may be a humorous snap. I'm like, if I ever need something, I'm gonna call them. When Twitter first rolled through, I used to use Twitter as my account because I was working at Enterprise, and that was where I would go because no one really knew me or followed me on Twitter, and they still don't because I'm not on there enough. But that's where I would just kind of blow out my frustrations. I would just go and say, people say the stupidest things. Tweet, let it go. And I felt good. It was like my digital journal. Wasn't anything crazy or over the top, but it just felt good to like type it and release it. But your customers are on these social media platforms. If you don't have an in-house person, you need to hire someone to walk you through that process because people connect to businesses that they know, like, and trust on social media. People are on social media more than they watch TV. They consume their video, their content, their learning. Everything is happening on social media. Don't be buying no expensive TV ads. Just saying. All right. By 2020, a great experience will be the main purchasing factor. Why do we keep going to Chick-fil-A? Because they got great service. Their lemonade is good. Foosackly, it's kind of running up on them though with the lemonade. Foosackly's lemonade is good too. Right? So you got some people saying yes. But at the end of the day, if all of a sudden Chick-fil-A service turned bad, people wouldn't go. It's the experience of going there. And so what type of experience are you creating? It's not price. Prices are, listen, she can sell it for $2. This person can sell it for $3. This person can sell it for $12. If the person who's selling it for $12 make you feel like $1 million, you're going to spend the $12. So it's not price. If you're saying that, you're kind of tricking yourself. That's like an excuse for me. If you're like, well, my price is more, that's not why I'm getting the business. No, your service is probably not that good. And people are like, well, if your service is not that good, why would I spend $12 and just go over here and get bad service and pay $2 for it? So remember, it's your experience that you create for your customers is what's going to get you more of this. Okay, so promised I would tell you a little bit more. And a little bit more is because you're like, well, how do I create an experience? Trying to get the money like you said. Well, here it is. I'll tell you. This is some of it. We're not going to develop a mission statement and develop a customer service plan, but you need one. Why do you need it? So that your people will know what you are expecting them to do, how you expect them to operate. I worked with the restaurant downtown Mobile. It's a popular one. They won like a NAPI award. And I was doing a follow-up call with them a couple of months later. And she's like, let me just tell you. She said that customer service guide that you put together, she was like, it helped me like attract some people. She's like, my employees said that they had worked for big name franchises that did not have any sort of customer service training and no guide to give to employees. And she was like, I'm a local place and I'm giving a guide and they have a customer service video that their employees can watch. Just saying, you're playing. Okay, so this is kind of something that I've coined. I call it P squared. You need to be professional and you need to be personable. Remember how I told y'all at the beginning, my head thinks be professional, but my heart is like, keep it 100. And so then it's like, maybe not the most professional thing, but I'm keeping it real with you because I want you to get your money. I want you to retain your customers and I want you to grow. But none of that happens if you're not professional and you're not personable. Professional meaning, what's the expectation at your company? How are you expected to dress? Sometimes people don't know. So they show up in what they think is professional. You may be like, baby, you think that's professional? It's not. But no one ever told them what was professional. So they genuinely don't know, which is why, you know, there should be some type of current system and a process that is centered around customer service, and I might add employees as well. There should be regular employee development and training. You're like, well, why do we have to do all this stuff? Well, if this is training. So if you're not doing this, then what are you doing to ensure that your team knows how you want them to actually operate and treat customers? And remember, we drive through the Chick-fil-A line because we get a great experience with them. But guess what? And it moved pretty fast. All right. Marketing is customer service. It's the new wave. It is what it is. And you may say, well, how? Why? Because remember, where are our customers hanging out now? On their phone, scrolling on some form of social media. So if they see you there, they like the page, there's some valuable content on the page, even such to the point where maybe they don't need to go to the doctor every day, but because they got great service at the doctor, when their friend says, girl, go to X. I don't know their number. They are on Facebook. They're on LinkedIn. They're on Instagram. And usually now if you go to, got Maria in here, she builds bots. If you go to someone's business Facebook page, that little bot pops up and you can get those automated bots to do all kinds of amazing things to where you may not even have to, touch it. So I'm just saying, marketing is customer service. If you don't believe me, just write it down and watch what happens over the next 2 years. Ownership must be committed to the experience process. If the secretary or the front office or the operations person's bought in, but top management is not, it's not gonna work. That means you could get pulled off or moved off, or the person at the top won't appropriate money for the trainings. If you don't have the training, they're not gonna know. And then you're doing the same thing over again. You're watching the business, who's your competitor, down the street, pass you up. Your choice. Okay. Measure the client experience and use the data for growth. If anybody in here has ever done anything with me, it doesn't matter if it's a corporate client or my online people who purchase digital stuff or may take a digital class with me, you get in a survey. You'll get a survey for a couple of reasons. I want to see what their experience was like. I will record them if we're doing some type of in-person thing, because I'm building know, like, and trust for someone else that's coming through the pipeline. Just keep that in mind. I'm just saying, we are socially connected, and if you can just reach out in your respective industry and connect with your clients on social media, they're going to talk about you even more. All right, social media is expected. Just leave that right there. Communication obviously is everything. Let's review. These were the 4 things that I promised I would tell you how to generate more. Focus on the customers, excellent communication and operations, resolve their concerns, and get active. When I work with a client, we get really deep into these things, but these are the 4 components of the process. So the question is, are you positioned to profit more? You're already making a profit, but are you positioned to profit more? Okay. I didn't hear anybody say, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I am offering customer service audits. So if you have a business, I am doing audits. An audit means that you would get on the calendar. I would come and sit with you. It would need to be the decision maker, because I don't have time to waste, so I wouldn't want you to waste your time. But we sit and I kind of have a list and we go through it. And I go through this list. Then I'm like, okay, in a couple of days I send you a proposal. I'm like, this is how I can help you. And it may not be everything, but I'm going to tell you this is how I can help you. And then you sign it and we get to work. But the audit's free if you are ready to make an investment.
I'm ready.
Okay. Come on, pass that card. I'm going to be here. I'm going to talk to the people who are ready. Okay, so now, what questions do you have? Yes.
I just want wanted to know, it's funny you talk about Chick-fil-A, and anytime we have meetings for Walgreens, and just a disclaimer, I don't work at this Walgreens right here. I'm just saying, just in case, I know this close to the lawyer firm, so that's not mine. But I manage the one on Hillcrest, and in our meetings with our DM, we always talk about Chick-fil-A, and sometimes we cringe, some of the store managers. But my question is, it has to be deeper for Chick-fil-A, because I'm thinking they invest, in their people. They invest in a trainer, and I guess what I'm saying, you can't talk to employees or people about, look at Chick-fil-A, what they're doing, because I'm sure the people up above are doing a lot more for it to trickle down, because they always say, well, Chick-fil-A people are not better than our cashiers or this or that. We know they're not better. And you brought up a good point about the hiring process, and I guess my question, what do you think? I mean, I just feel like it has to be deeper, and the experience has to start at the top, and not just the store manager, for like not just the Chick-fil-A manager. It has to be everybody above him creates that culture that rolls down into employee engagement. I just wanted to let you know.
No, you're absolutely right. So remember who I said I only want to meet with the decision maker?
Yeah.
Because that's the person that's going to create the culture.
Yes.
So you're right. That probably happens at Chick-fil-A. It's funny you said that as an example, because I still have friends at Enterprise. I still mentor them. I was talking to an area manager last night, and she's like, we were having this conversation, and she said, yeah, because they were getting on us. They were like, we're hiring people out of college, paying them $40,000 as an entry-level position at Enterprise, and they're like, how can our scores not be everything that we want them to be? Because Chick-fil-A people, same thing, they said Chick-fil-A people. And I said, there's a difference. Yeah. It's culture. I've never gone into Chick-fil-A and seen a Chick-fil-A employee look like they were stressed out. No. Right. I haven't been in a Chick-fil-A and seen them short-staffed.
Nope.
I usually see the managers there. Their operations are always flowing. I've never heard a Chick-fil-A employee say, can't stand working here, I'm ready to get off, blah, blah, blah. I just haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. So that leads me to believe, based on what I've read, what I've seen, what I've studied, their culture is so strong from the top level down, and they have the operations in process to make it happen. It's not an overnight thing. Investing in some infrastructure to do things a little different, it's not like a one and done thing. Depending on what you need, you may have to spend a little bit more time on this. Like at Enterprise, we had customer service meetings quarterly. Like, you staying after work, we would bring in food, but you're staying after work, we're going over this. Like, it was very detailed. When I worked at Pilot for that short period of time, we did morning huddles, and oftentimes there were various topics, but always customer service, came up in a conversation. So if you're not talking about it, you are just assuming that it's happening, and you really don't know. And I'm telling you, if you are not engaged in what's happening, like with your employees, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're saying on the phone. They may not even know what to say on the phone, because no one's ever really told them.
I was just thinking about what you were saying about culture, and when Circuit City first came to Mobile, I worked at that store from the time they opened until the time they closed. When we opened, the president of the company was this gentleman named Rick Short, and he was a customer service oriented gentleman, but he was also focused on employees. We got raises that went through the roof. I mean, it was a step program, and it trickled from the top down. They brought food in for the employees. They fed us. We had interactive customer service training on the computer. Circuit City had computers no other store had. It was a DPS system, and we had role playing at meetings, staff meetings. There was role playing. I mean, they were big. Their motto was services state of the art. We took anything and everything back. I mean, the customers never wrong. You never tell the customer what you can't do. This is what I can do. I mean, that was his thing. When he left the company, everything went downhill. The customer service changed. The way they treated the employees changed. But when he was there, the culture was like, it was almost like they had a screening process. Everybody they hired had the same personality, same attitude.
That's good.
It was crazy. It was. It really was. But I mean, you could tell the difference, and that's probably why the company is no longer in existence.
Yeah.
Because when he left, the whole culture of the company changed.
Yes, absolutely. People don't want to be in a. I used to laugh as the hiring manager for my area when the millennials would show up and they would say, "I just want to be happy." You know, they were secretly saying butterflies and sunshine and life is great. And hey, if you're gonna stress me out, I don't want to work here. And I can't say what I used to think because it was like, what the. And I'm like, okay, this probably ain't gonna be for you, baby. But I digress. Being an entrepreneur, I connect with what they used to say because a college student, they've been in college, they've experienced freedom, they've been able to kind of pick their own schedule. For the most part, life was good. So who would go and sign up for chaos? And so if, someone feels like that's what they're gonna get when they work for a company, they don't want that. And I love that millennials are so forward and they will tell you exactly what they want.
Yes.
They'll say, this is what I want. And you're like, either you can kind of do that, or you can't. But I agree. People need to know, like, no one's going to sign up to work in chaos. They may for a short period of time because they need a check, but they won't stay long. They're not going to be committed. They're going to be looking for the next best opportunity. And I'm saying as corporations or small businesses, you have an opportunity to create a culture where people want to stay, where they feel good and respected. And guess what? They're going to feel bad if they ever have to let you down. I know I did. And if you hire the right people, there is a model. There are certain things that you want to look for based on the type of culture that you are trying to build at your company. So yes.
A lot of corporations and companies, they want profit, and that's what they see, profit. But a lot of them don't realize that customer service is their profit.
Yes.
And they tend to think, I wanna make the dollar, I don't care what you get, I don't care, get it done. And they don't realize that employee that you're depressing is the same employee that can bring you $1 million in it. But you don't realize that all you think about is the dollar. Forget the customer service, and that's where a lot of us lose in business and corporations that we can't, maintain. We get in there, we're doing good, but then it's all about the dollar, and not realizing if it wasn't for customer service, you wouldn't be where you are right now. So I always say customer service is
The bottom line.
calculated salaries and risk. Always.
Very true.
So what are some things you would look for in a new employee
In the hiring process?
in the hiring process?
We used to do behavioral based interviewing. So tell me about a time where you didn't get along with a coworker. Oh, I didn't get along with any of my people. They were always doing X, Y, and Z. Not your person. Tell me about a time where you had an upset customer. We used to have those all the time. Okay. What did you do? Well, I mean, if I could help them, but when I heard, well, they're just not right, in my head, I'm like, okay, this is wrapping up. So you would need to think about what does the ideal employee, what are they doing on a daily basis? Are they friendly? Are they upbeat? If that's what you need. Are they friendly? Are they upbeat? Are they customer service oriented? Are they about the teamwork? Are they willing to, stay late if that's something that's required at the company? Or is this someone who's like, I get off at 5 and I'm gone at 5 and I don't care what you have going on? So think about the ideal candidate, what they look like, what qualities they have, and then find questions built around that, and you'll be able to find that person, hopefully.
Those are great questions, behavioral based. That's interesting.
Anything else? Anyone else?
We've hired a lot of young people that work with us, and all they say all day is, they get on my nerve. She get on my nerve. He get on my nerve. She giggle too much. He needs, it's all day. So it was like, okay, they'll stick them over there with me. Mr. Jackie, look, I said, this is my motto. I don't have to like you to work with you, but I do have to work with you to get the job done.
Right.
So when She do, I mean, all of a sudden, it's like her light comes on, and I'll stand there and I'll be like, you got 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes up, I said, okay, it's time for us to go back to work. And that's just how I handle the situation, not shut up, you get on my nerves. I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know how to ride a horse, cause she rides horses. I'm serious, she's like, I ride horses on the weekend, You check it? I said, I don't know anything about riding horses. So I'm sitting there and listening to what she had to say, but the other people, they'll walk off and rude, they're rude, but it actually makes the situation worse because it's animosity there. And sometimes I can't tell you what she said, but I'm watching that clock. You got 10 minutes. And I'll listen to her for 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, she'll work 2 or 3 more hours. But then, I'm serious. But then when she's over there with some of the, older gentlemen, like one guy, he's like 40. He was like, don't send her over to me. I said, you can't say that because you still have a task that, job you have to get done. He said, well, what do you say? I don't have to work with you. I don't have to like you to work with you, but I do have to work with you for 8 hours. He said, don't. I said, you can't tell her that. What you need to do is figure out a way to make it work. Listen to her. Yeah, you listen to her for like 10 minutes, but they're on a different page, and every break she's on YouTube, and she's on Snapchat.
And see, your encouragement sent productivity up with her.
I'm serious. Sometimes, like today, I could not tell you what she's like, look, over the weekend, Miss Jackie, I did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how many minutes I got? You got 7. I'm serious because when she
knows she's got 10.
I'm serious. I actually look at the clock. I was like, okay, it is 6:45. You got to 6:55. Tell me what you got to say, because she ain't focused.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I got something I want to say. Okay, stop. Let's stop. And then we'll actually stop. And the boss be like, really? I'll be like, hold up, just give us a minute. And when she gets off her check, at the end of the day, we exceed our goals sometimes.
Right.
She's like, you okay with that? That's okay. I'm like, yeah, but I told myself, you got to learn how, because they do. They are wide different. They talking about Snapchat and YouTube. And they like, what is an Instagram? This man 7 years old. He was like, Instagram.
I think I love, I call it just like a melting pot where you have different generations that work together. I think it's good because each generation can learn something from the other generation. That should be a part of, that's some team building work. That's
You
where
really have to coach people to be patient.
You do.
The younger with the older.
That's right.
The older with the younger.
That's right.
Because it's easy to go,
Yes.
I don't understand that.
Right.
Let's move on. It's like, no,
Right.
just listen to me for a second.
Right. Well, and then if you think about how long we're at work, sometimes your work family is, your place of employment can be like a second work family. And so if it's not this friendly culture and productive as well, then people can start to feel some type of way about, work. And that's why I'm saying someone in management has to say, hey, you know what, I see an issue here. We need to do some type of a team building exercise, event, meeting, or something. Again, if the person at the top of the food chain is not setting the expectation for how we treat customers, how we treat each other, what's good behavior, what's bad behavior, what's top level performance, what's a non-negotiable, if those things aren't being discussed, people just show up and do what they would normally do in their regular life. And then that's like, this workplace it could be toxic depending on where you work. So someone has to say, this is what we do. Yes.
So I own my firm,
Yes.
okay, and I have all these people that work for me. And so what do? I just heard coach people to be patient. I have 2 issues. One is the phone,
Okay. Yes.
okay, so we deal with people who have emergencies. Everything is on fire. We don't have a big enough hose to put it out, okay? We set the goal of we're going to call every person back.
Mm-hmm.
So if upper management is staying late and calling every person back, and the folks below that are not buying into that, how do I get them to do that? Besides just telling them right now?
Well, yeah, so it shouldn't be optional.
It's not.
It can't be optional. So then what that means to me is that middle crew who is committed to what you expect is letting the team below them off the hook. So they're not managing the people down. So when they catch that they're not answering the phones and doing what they should be doing throughout the day, that means the middle management is not saying, Sue, you didn't make any calls, what's going on? So maybe a better way to, or a way to possibly manage that is how many calls on average are coming in throughout the day? Is each person expected to make a certain number of calls? So now we have a real true number on it. I've even seen it where people have to like sign off. It depends on like how deep you want to micromanage it. I like to start with, this is the expectation. This is what we're going to do moving forward. If you don't do this, this is what's going to happen time 1, time 2, and we won't even get to time 3. I think when people know what's expected up front and that they're not going to be not able to get off the hook so easily, it's like, you want your paycheck, you want to make these calls, which one are you going to do? So
That's not real touchy-feely.
that's okay. We're talking about work performance.
Okay.
And that's why I said set those
Cause I'm
expectations.
not real touchy-feely.
And that's okay. I don't think.
But see, oh, you better be virtual, cause you ain't getting none now.
So, people knew me, and some of my online clients will say, hey, she comes at you pretty hard, but she loves the hell out of you.
I don't think anybody gonna say that about me.
That you.
I think they would all say that about you.
I don't get hired for those kind of things. I get hired to go out there, wield a sword and a shield.
Exactly.
I like her.
Uh-huh.
We all do.
Yeah.
Might not after today.
We're the same, but I
We
wouldn't
have the
expect
same
that you would be
personality.
the person who is managing that process.
Who should do that?
The office or the operations
The
manager.
office manager.
Okay, thank you.
I'm available for training.
So should that be a
When can
separate
you start?
position?
Yes.
Should the
Yes, it should.
Should
operation?
there be a separate position from a boss and an operations manager? Should those two be combined into one person, or should they be separate?
Separate.
It depends
Depends.
on.
It
Volunteer.
depends.
Hold on, I wanna hear.
It depends. How much ground are we covering?
Yeah. It depends on the
You walk in the
supply
front
and the
door?
demand.
That's a
how
lot of
much
ground.
That's how much ground.
So the
we
boss can't be the person that's running the
Right.
operations. You
Yeah.
need someone else to do that. I can run my online business by myself. So I'm setting up email automations and blah 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 blah. I don't need anybody to touch that. But for this, for a full blown, you gotta have somebody who, because what happens when you're in court? You're not
Well, I wouldn't know what happens when I'm in court, cause I ain't here.
Well, you shouldn't be on it. Somebody else, like somebody's holding it
We
down.
have social media.
Who runs it?
I don't know.
Me now. I got hired today. That's me now.
We need descriptions.
That's me.
Descriptions. Does everybody know who's doing what?
Oh, we got those now. And we've
I
been
have a
doing
question.
training for over a month. Every week.
I have a question that kind of piggybacks on hers, kind of. And this may be way too loaded. It may be one of those things to where you just need to do it one-on-one. But I feel like there's a fine line between this is your job and this is what you're expected to do.
Okay.
And you just need to do this job. And, but I'm also gonna kind of give you incentives. So
Okay.
at what point is it just an expectation? And at what point are we Chick-fil-A?
Okay.
And, you know, like what?
What kind of incentives are we talking about? Are they performance-based incentives?
Yes.
Well, that, and
Not your
just-
question.
Okay.
Well, I know what we're doing.
Then that-
Well, just, you know, you want customer service, you want happy employees.
Yes.
So if your salary that you're paying them
Yes.
is not making them happy,
Yes.
what's the like, at what point do you give incentives, but then at what point do you say, you know what, you should do this without the freaking incentives?
Okay, so I'm not a fan of incentivizing to get people to do their job.
Right.
So I kind of hired you to do your job. That's why you're here. And you knew what the pay was when I hired you.
did.
And hopefully I went over the job description with you and I shared with you what it was like to work here, what a day in the life was like, all of that, and you said yes. And hopefully as a company we've continued to deliver that. So I would probably never say incentivize people because they're not doing their job as a hope that they would do more. That just means someone's not managing them, or someone may not be having coaching conversations with them, or we need to be super clear about the expectation. The expectation is you're here at 8, and this is what you should be doing throughout the day, and this is how I manage it throughout the day, and we're talking, if you need anything, I'm here, I can help you, all of that. Incentives are when we're like, hey, you know what, we want to get sales up, or we want to bring in more clients, or
That's
whatever.
something in addition to.
Exactly. So this is the plan for the next month. This is the incentive that you will get if you bring in, or if you do this, separate than the expectation to do your job every day.
Okay.
I have a
Yeah,
question. Okay, what if you have, like you say, if you have things written down for your employees to do,
Mm-hmm.
you give them a deadline and tell them they have 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's also a relationship as a friend and an employee.
Mm-hmm.
But when you set out these terms and they don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you do, it's a consequence of not doing things. But then again, as your friend and your employee, they feel that, oh, just because I ain't did this, you try to use this against me. But you're trying to run a business to have it done accordingly with the guidelines of how things should be ran. But they don't see that. And then when you try to basically give them their task to do, it's basically like, oh, okay. But you're still not doing what you're supposed to.
Right. So I hear friendships more than anything in the underlying tone. I guess the best way for me to answer this, when I was a manager, after work we would go out.
But
It was a
on
culture.
that-
Hold on. I would say, if you can't handle this, you don't need to go. Because I'm going to show up tomorrow, and I'm still going to be your manager. We're getting ready to go laugh. We're probably not going to talk about work, and we're going to be so cool. But tomorrow, when I show back up, I'm in work mode. So I don't care what we talked about last night. We're in work mode. I have a job to do. You got a job to do. You got to perform. If that's going to be too much for you, don't go. So kind of some people can't. Maybe it's the supervisor can't handle the relationship of having to go back in and be the bad boss. Been there. I used to be a a resident advisor at South. You got to tell on your friends down the hall because they snuck in alcohol. I didn't like doing that as a person in college. So I'm like, let me do something else. Let me do programming. And I stepped away from it because I wasn't mature enough to handle it at that time. Now it doesn't bother me because, again, I'm like, not only do you profit when you do your job well, but so do I. We're not working for free. We work to get the money, so we got a job to do. And so it's accountability, like 30 days. If you give somebody a task at the beginning of 30 days, unfortunately, you're going to have to follow up with them because you could get to the end of the month and they didn't do it. And ultimately, that would hurt your business.
But if you following up every day,
that's too much.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
You
that's too
follow up
much.
with them every day, every week about the same thing,
Oh.
and then the task is something that could be completed in a week.
Oh,
But
no.
they're just making it longevity.
Okay, so that's a productive thing. You literally say, hey, I need to give you this, and I need to get it back this afternoon by 5 p.m. So that means I'm giving you from 8 to 5 to get it done, but at 5 o'clock, don't leave until it's done. And then that's it. And maybe one time they slip through the cracks, but if you handle it properly, it won't happen again. And handle it properly may be that you got to document, or you have to have a serious conversation with them. It's not being mean. It's saying, hey, we had an expectation. Remember, we had a meeting. I love when people come to trainings because it's almost like you get to hit the reset button. You go back to your staff and you say, okay, hey, you know what? Had some thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Let's have a meeting. This is what I'm expecting. And if they don't want to do that, start interviewing some other people. Because there's people who are looking for jobs.
And then, when you have a meeting with the upper staff, like the managers, but just like you say, they may have an issue with this person, but if we're gonna work together, everybody got to get along. And then sometimes it's the environment. If just say for instance, I invite my managers out, say for instance to Windsors or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they be like, well, who there? It doesn't matter who's there. I need you here because it's a different setting. We talking business, and you need to be here. But then it comes up with an excuse. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, you don't want this job then.
That's right. It's expectations. It's coaching. I've never said it was easy. And depending on where your company culture is currently, you may have just a little bit of work to do, or you may have more work to do. And sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, it requires that you get rid of some people.
Thank you.
I have had to go into new areas before, and there were some
That's what I've
people
been
who
doing.
quickly got on board with the new program,
Yeah.
and then there were some people who thought they were going, pull my chump card. And while I love people, I'm gonna always treat you with respect. I'm gonna probably overtrain you. What we're not going to do is pull chump cards.
Okay.
Because once, the person at the top of the food chain starts to crumble and do what the employees are saying do, or you let the employees tell you what they're not going to do, it puts your business at risk.
Sure do.
If they see you don't care about it and you let people do whatever, it's just a matter of time. So yeah, you may have to get rid of some people. It's unfortunate, but it's real. I'm telling you, at Enterprise, when we would do open house, we would literally kind of open the gates and have people come in and do some round table interviews. We were looking to hire quickly. The current employees be like, y'all hiring? Who finna lose their job?
Yeah.
And it's not like you don't want to threaten people. I'm not advocating that at all. What I'm saying is everybody has a business to run. We're running a business so that we can keep our employees employed. In fact, depending on your culture, you may want to position people to where they've learned a lot, they can take on some leadership positions and really move up. But if they're not bought into your program, and your program will change. What you were on last year may be something different this year. You may be pushing a different agenda to take the company to a higher direction. And if there's some people who don't want to be on board with that, I'm not going to let someone sink my ship that has a toxic attitude.
Yeah.
You gotta go. I'm gonna coach you, train you, talk to you, but ultimately, I'm gonna make it's not the decision, it's not yours. Ultimately, it's mine, because you don't want to be a part of this team, because I've made every opportunity available for you to be on the team, to get in, we can have a whole bunch of fun. I used to tell my folks, we can cut up all day long as soon as y'all get that work done.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, as long as the customers are taken care of. We got great numbers. The office looks good. I'm at any given time, the RVP could walk in, the general manager could come in, and it's not about them walking in, it's about my standard. I don't want to be found not doing what someone is paying me to do. So you can't come and BS on my clock.
Thank you.
That's it. Anybody else?
Yes.
This kind of goes back to the customer service.
Yes.
And it's kind of a specialized issue for us, I guess.
Okay.
But we have a lot of clients that call in and they're frustrated, but they're frustrated because they don't understand how the courts work.
Sure.
And they don't want to learn exactly, but also they get defensive because they think that we're talking to them like they're stupid.
Right.
How do you diffuse the situation
That's good.
in a way where you can't really explain the rules? They just are.
Good. So my question would be, what is the onboarding process? If I'm new and you're taking my case, what are you telling me up front so that I know as we move through the process what my next steps are?
You go through the process, you explain what you're doing, you explain what you're filing, but sometimes the court just does.
Right.
And we don't understand it either. But that's
Right.
not something you can tell your client, because
Right.
then they're angry with you.
You can tell them up front. You can say what you just said. You can say sometimes I just want to let you, because if you can tell them up front when they're already listening, then they're open to it. So you say there's going to be some things that may happen throughout this process that you nor I will understand. What I mean by that is the court may do this, and I don't control it, and you don't control it, and I just want to tell you about that now, just so that if it happens, you will know. That way, when they call in, you're like, remember when you were here and we talked about, and they're like, okay.
Proactive.
You gotta be thinking about things that could potentially pop up. You guys know, because you work here, what happens over and over. You know what people get mad about most often. I call that's the whisper. If you don't address the whisper, it turns into a scream. And that's when people are mad.
Oh no, I was just gonna say kind of what she was saying, because that's sometimes could be an issue in the pharmacy with patients. May have to just talk to the patients in their language, like a technician can tell a patient, you know, you need a prior authorization and they don't know what does that mean. You know what I mean? So sometimes, for as customer service, you just might have to go into a little bit more detail. Like she said, tell them, or at least tell them in a way that you're not telling them everything, but tell them where they understand. Okay, I get it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the patients would think, they talking to me like I'm stupid, or talking down on me, and it really wasn't that. It's just the technicians and the pharmacists are used to using certain terms, and the patient's like, what are you talking about? You know, so.
I'm bad at it.
And that's, you gotta be careful about, the language that it's unintentional for sure. It's just that you know what you know, and I know what I know about my particular industry. So if someone's asking me about it, I tend to go to that language. But so when we're constantly talking about, hey, if they call in, make sure we're explaining it like this, or we tell them, on the front end, or sometimes it's not, I don't know if you can exchange emails about that, but sometimes maybe just to send like a quick email where they can read it and see it, because sometimes people are like, they don't want to be told things, and so, because they feel like someone's coming at them, so in an email, maybe if you could just say it. I don't know your process and if time allows for that, but just trying to give some additional alternatives. Yes.
Kind of like going off that too. I found explaining it like saying, okay, this is what this is. Basically what that means is, and breaking it down, people are a lot less likely to get frustrated and think you're talking down to them. Because you're saying, these are the technical terms, and then saying, basically what that means is this.
Yes.
They're like, okay, cool. And then it's a lot less of an issue later on.
P squared, personable, professional. So professional is the term, and then the personable part is where you say, let me just break it down, and then they get that.
So is it better to
Because it's
have,
intimidating.
is it better to have something in writing for them to reference?
If there's if you've identified some common things that pop up, that would definitely be something to kind of have, like, maybe they get a little packet and it's like, hey, this is some of the stuff we see. It may not affect your case, but this is kind of standard. You may just want to have this in case you hear something. Maybe it's like a little quick list of terms. I don't know, because like if I was getting ready to go to court for something, I don't know anything about anything. And so people just feel vulnerable. They're intimidated when they have to call and ask. And if that person doesn't sound like overly friendly on the phone and I'm having a bad day, I'm already feeling like they're against me. That's how customers think. Like, they don't like me. They're talking down to me. They're just intimidated. That's their insecurity. And you say one little thing and they're like, ah. So, yeah, if we could be proactive on the front end, put something together, it may help.
I think.
This was good. I wish you could have brought some employees.
Okay.
I am for hiring. Come talk to the Walgreens people. They can hire me. This is just like a fraction of kind of like what I actually do. I do trainings. I do secret shop missions. Like I said, I manage 7 to 8 locations in town, and so like I love management and leadership because you want like your business to do well. You want to see your team succeed. Obviously, we got to take care of our customers, and all of those things really just go like they go hand in hand. So thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Welcome. Oh wait, is there anybody that can't take a picture? Because I need social proof that I was here. Okay.